Tuesday, April 11th, 2023 at 7 p.m. And the first thing on our agenda is tax equalization.
Okay, so this year I sent out 12 notices of increase, which is down from 16 last year. These notices were the result of removal of obsolescence or exemptions, correction of land sizes, new construction, completion of construction, or improvements to existing property. We used 56 valid sales from 2021 and 2022 for the sales ratio study. The sales ratio median was at 92.36%, which is within the state mandated range of 90 to 100%. There were 12 homestead credit applications and 13 applications for property tax exemption submitted to and approved by both the county tax office and the city. I received one valuation appeal via email from a tax rep for Cass Oil. I talked with her via email and have received no further communication back, so no valuation adjustment was made. Two-story townhomes and single-story twin homes were reviewed and reduced equitably this year based on the fact that the sales we started seeing for them were, for the majority, coming in under what they were valued at in our system. Other than those structures, residential parcels saw a small increase in value overall at the county level to bring the county into tolerance with the state mandated sales ratio range. Thanks.
You make the motion to approve? Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion by Chad, second by George. Is there any discussion on that? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Probably should do roll call.
Oh, okay. All right.
Lauren?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Chad?
Okay. Hearing no nays, motion is approved.
And we do need a motion to adjourn the tax equalization before we go into our regular meeting.
So moved. Second.
Okay, a motion and a second's been made to adjourn the tax equalization meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And we are now into the City of Stanley meeting. First thing on the agenda would be the minutes, I guess. Is there a
Motion to approve.
motion to approve?
Motion.
Okay. Second?
And that's for both, for clarification, we have two sets of minutes, correct? So we do
Correct,
under
the
one
March
motion.
13th and then the March 20th special meeting.
You second?
I do, I'll second
Okay.
that.
Okay, a motion and a second's been made. Any discussion? Any corrections or? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign for opposed. Hearing no opposed, motion carries. Planning and zoning recommendations, Mr. Highbrighter.
Mr. Mayor, council members, we had our regular meeting last evening. We had a public hearing for a conditional use for H2O Connections, Jarrett Wirtz on that Nelson Hubbard land. The previous month, he didn't show up. So we rescheduled his hearing for this month, and he was notified by the auditor, along with recommendations from the city attorney on how to proceed. And he had to send his certified mail. He had to republish it, everything. He didn't show. So with that, we were a little upset. So his permit was denied because of the no-show and taking up our valuable time and the city's expenses.
Okay. With that recommendation, is there a motion to accept that?
Move to approve the recommendation of planning and zoning. To deny H2O connection fund. No show taken place.
Can I just make one thing about that? I think when we were having that police committee meeting, he did try to call in
No, we called him to see if he was coming,
Oh,
because that was our only agenda item.
but the
was-
meeting from last time when we had the conference call, he actually called into it and then we tried
Oh.
to transfer him.
That was not him. That was another
Okay.
gentleman that called on another
Okay,
issue.
then
Yes,
just a,
yes. And last night, we did call him to see if he was like having car trouble and he was
okay,
running late. And he said he forgot, and he said, can I have the meeting via phone? And we said no.
okay.
Because on a public hearing, the certified letter receipts have to be turned in either before or during the meeting. And since we didn't have those, and it was a public hearing, and there was actually one individual here to listen in, and I don't know if he was going to discuss or not, but he came for that public hearing. And we agreed, no public hearing over the phone. So that was, yes, that was another gentleman, the meeting before, yes.
Okay, I've got a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Same sign opposed. Hearing no opposed. Motion carries.
We had just had some discussions about different things, and one item was brought up was how the public hearing process was handled for Mr. Wertz. If he ended up repaying his fee, if he only paid one fee for 2 meetings. And it was told to us that he had paid one fee for the first meeting, and we kind of thought, well, he maybe should have paid a second fee, but if he does come again in the future for this same purpose, he will have to repay all fees and redo the whole entire system all over again.
Okay.
It was also discussed, Mr. Wing had asked whose terms were what and who was up and how it worked. So we asked Amanda to, for our next meeting, just to give us a list of whose terms are of what years. So we can kind of look, Mr. Wing said that he's right now the vice chairman, and he thought maybe we should look into a new vice chairman so that when he quits at the end of his term, that somebody else would be in position to be a vice. So that was just the discussion on our terms, term limits and stuff. And then he also inquired about the Greenstone apartments, and we were able to, be told that what had transpired between the city and the county, and that the city was planning on purchasing them to have them in the city's ownership. And we're just kind of curious where it's going to go from there, if there's any updates or anything, if you guys could share anything, or if you don't know at this time what's happening.
There's been no action on this since the county and the city agreed for the purchase. I know that there is some, I believe, in most of the
Okay,
Right.
that's fine. We've been involved, if you want to say, for years about the process and to making sure that it is, the right thing was done. And that's the main reason that it was brought up, so. With that, that's all we have, unless somebody's got a comment or question.
Anybody got any questions? I don't think so, Todd. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Amanda is right on the ball.
I'm here. Obviously, you guys do not have a list. I have not approved any building permits. I just wanted to let you know I do have 3 or 4 in my office, and I'll be getting those approved as soon as I can see the ground and take proper measurements and such. So other than that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions for Amanda? I have. I have none.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. Visitors Committee.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. The Visitors Committee met last week, or last week, and we had 4 applications for this month. I believe you have them all in front of you? Yes. Okay, so we'll start off, do you want to go as a whole, or do you want to discuss each one separately? Separately, I'm
We
thinking.
could go through them.
Okay, so the first one was the annual rib riot, the 4th annual rib riot. From John Woodbury. After some discussion, and he didn't have a specified amount he was requesting, he told us what their budget was, which was $9,800. So our recommendation is to approve $3,500, so that would cover the cost of their advertising and the rib cost. So that's the committee's recommendation for that particular application.
Okay.
Should I go through all of them first before you vote?
Why don't you go
Okay.
through all of them? I think
Okay.
we could probably just,
Okay, sounds good. The second application was for the Harvest Fest. Julie Woodbury put in this application on behalf of the Harvest Fest members. They were requesting an amount of $3,250 for a variety of different things, band, kids' activities, advertising, and such. The committee recommends approval of $2,500 to cover the cost for activities and advertising. Okay. To cover the cost for the activities and the advertising.
just take your seat.
Okay, try that. The next one is also Julie Woodbury submitted on behalf of the Stanley Friendly Farmers Market. So it's their events throughout the summer months, basically, for the farmers market. They're requesting an amount of $3,500, and we recommend approval for $1,500 to cover the cost of their advertising and some of the kids' activities that they needed funds for. And last, we had one on behalf of the commercial club for the 4th of July events in the amount of $25,000. The board recommended approval of $15,000 to cover the fireworks and the band cost. So total, that what we recommend for approving is $24,500. The amount that actually was requested was $41,550. If we take into consideration John Woodbury's rib riot being that full amount of their budget. In our account, we have $38,897 as of our meeting date.
Is there any motions out there to approve?
Move to approve. All of them.
Seconds?
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Hi, this is Debbie Bentz. I am the treasurer for the commercial club. And I just wanted to visit a little bit about the commercial club events. These events that we put on, they are community events for the city of Stanley. I know that Janelle Borrud, our president, had attended a meeting about a couple months ago to kind of discuss and go over some commercial club issues or ideas, trying to get some assistance from the city on assisting with the commercial club. We are always told we need to go out and raise money. We are all volunteers. We all have full-time jobs and families. We have been told by former commercial club board members that the Visitors Fund was made up to help commercial club in the events for Stanley. They're constantly being, criticized, or people saying you should do this or you should do this. A lot of those people, they don't even attend a commercial club meeting. They don't volunteer at any of the events. We are all trying to do everything we can for the city of Stanley and to help out businesses in the city of Stanley. That Janelle had mentioned about having somebody hired full-time through the city to put on these events, to be like a cheerleader for the city. They would be the ones that would write grants for money to help pay for these events. They would be able to go around and go to all the businesses. I believe you got an email from board member Abby, and she was very detailed on, we do ask help from businesses, but we don't get any help. They pay their dues, and that's basically what they want to do. And we have a handful of them that donate. They're the same ones that donate for different events that we have. If they do door prizes, it's the exact same businesses every time. I know myself, I started about a year and a half ago, and as of November 30th, I'm done with the commercial club. I don't have all this extra time to go around and try and get extra money from different businesses. I don't have time to write grants. I do feel that if Stanley wants to continue to have some great events, that they should probably think about the chamber, or that they should hire somebody through the city to put on these events to make sure that people continue to come to Stanley. The 4th of July, it's a community event, fireworks. There's always school reunions, family reunions, anniversaries that are held during this time. And it's up to the commercial club to put on this event and to come up with money or try to find the money. Right now, at this point, I would love to have a special board meeting for the commercial club, and basically we cancel the band. We cancel the stage, we cancel the tent. If we have the funding for the fireworks, we'll order those, and those are always put off by the fire department. But this is just a continued issue, is us to try to find money for the events in Stanley. Our next one that's supposed to be coming up is Summerfest, Crazy Days. It's a huge event for Stanley. It brings lots of business to Stanley. But again, do we have it, or do we just not have it? We have already canceled some of our events because we don't have time. The 6 of us are the ones that volunteer. The 6 of us are the ones that try to plan things. We don't have time for every event. So we've already taken off some events for the commercial club, and we have a meeting coming up on Thursday to start planning Summerfest. Again, is it something that probably we should not even have for Stanley because of funding issues? These are just some continued thoughts that we as the commercial club do have, is that Stanley does need a cheerleader for their community to put on these events. And us 6 volunteers, we're wore out. We're done. Said I'm done November 30th, and we have a hard time finding people to even fill spots. You have to beg people to be on board. And it's not that we have drama, because we all get along great. It's because people don't have time for all of the extra work. So those are just some things that I have, and I hope you guys all had a chance to read the letter that Abby sent in. She has been a board member for years, and she had some great points.
Okay, thank you.
And I thank you for listening to me.
Okay, any further comments?
Yeah, I guess I'd like to just make, not necessarily, or it is a comment from my point of view, I guess, but so initially back in the day when the commercial club was started, it was a commercial club. It was by the business for the business. The whole idea of the commercial club was to support the local business cooperatively among them. Their dues would go towards things such as advertising, and maybe advertising for Crazy Days and TV spots. It wasn't necessarily to put on all the fun, every single activity that comes along. That was not the initial idea of the commercial club. It was by them, for them. It's morphed into this. And I guess my opinion, as far as a council person sitting on the city council looking out for the taxpayers' dollars, we can't take taxpayer dollars and promote individual business. So the commercial club is not a fit for us as a council. Do I think that the things that the commercial club has been doing is great? Absolutely. I mean, the Crazy Days thing that they've ramped up to something that's never been has been a great deal for everybody. The 4th of July, obviously, we all enjoy that. The band, the fireworks, all of that kind of stuff. But I think that the community, I totally agree with her. The community is the people that need to support it, not by just throwing money at something and hiring somebody to be that cheerleader. That's not going to fix it. That's one person. Is that one person going to go out and pick up all the slack? I don't think so. So, I mean, I feel their struggle. I see where they're coming from, but I think that they need to take a step back and look at really what's at the heart of what the commercial club is. It's by them, for them.
So Chad, if I can weigh in here a little bit.
Well, Chad, I have a quick question, I guess. So, because I'm new to the commercial club, I mean, I come from a small community. So basically, the businesses pay their dues, and the dues are for, you said, advertising or commercial spots. So basically, I mean, I would love to have somebody that's been on it for years kind of fill me in on what is the commercial club supposed to do? What are we here for? I mean, I would like, I'm not trying to be mean, because I am new to it. I was, when I joined, I was like, God, I love kids. I love events. I love small community. I grew up in Tioga. Spent so much time in Stanley as a kid because I had family here, and I loved coming to Stanley for the event. Well, I just would love to have somebody come and, I guess, hey, you guys aren't supposed to be these glorified planners for these events. This isn't what you guys are supposed to do.
I guess I could give you a few names, Debbie, that have been on the commercial club that date back probably to the 70s that would, if you invited them as a guest speaker to the commercial club and just asked them, pick their brain, say, hey, what is our purpose? What should we be doing? Or what does this charter look like? And, I'd call John Anderson.
I'm starting to think that it really, like, why do we even have a commercial? That's my thing is right now is like, I'm for dissolving the commercial club because, I guess I just don't feel that the amount of hours I put in for the commercial club is crazy. Not just me, but all the board members trying to find money, putting in applications. That's why I'm wondering, why are we having these events? Why does the commercial club do it? Shouldn't the city be doing it?
I think it's like anything else. If you're willing to step up and do it, you inherit it. And I think that's what's happened over the years is other people have backed away from it and they've ended up saddling that. Not sure how to get away from
Commercial
that.
club not put on 4th of July years ago or we have Santa Days, which, that's a free movie for the kiddos. And I mean, just things that I think that, I don't know, I guess me as a grandmother, when I see those kids come in for the free movie and the company I work for, we always donate treats for afterwards. It's just something that is so great to see. But, is it something that, gosh, is this what we're not supposed to be doing? So who is going to put on these events?
I think to some extent, I mean, a lot of the things that you guys do, they probably did do in the past, but they just didn't do it to as grand a scale. I mean, you take the Crazy Days, I can think back to, I remember many of them. There wasn't any of that. It was all the businesses had stuff on the sidewalk, and that was Crazy Days.
Traditionally, Commercial Club is giving the businesses a platform, and what they do with it is what they do with it. Now it's not that. I
Right.
mean, and it hasn't been for several years, not just this current board. It's been many boards. And some of the stuff that the events, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot for this, but it's more recreational stuff. It's not, like you said, taxpayer dollars duties to put on these events. Yes, it's great things to get people in the businesses and whatnot, or to advertise your businesses or, members, but it's more a lot of it is recreational stuff. Well, that's not taxpayer dollars duties necessarily. So is it Parks and Rec? I don't know.
Well,
I'm not volunteering anything.
I think in order to kind of get back on track here with our meeting, we've got to kind of move on, but my recommendation would be to put it in the paper, basically to have a meeting and get all the people interested in these events, let them know what's going on, and get some people together so there is some people to help. I think there are people out there that would help. They just got to be made aware of what they need to do.
Respectfully, Mr. Mayor, I sat on that board for almost 4 years, and those people aren't out there.
They're not out there, you
And
say?
I agree with
Not
Gordon.
as of now.
No.
They maybe were one day. They-
ask the right people to like it. And it's not been reversed, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a very difficult role to be in. And
I'm sure it is.
there's an expectation from the community of things like 4th of July and Crazy Days, and
That's why, I mean, it's got to be put in the paper that way, that those events could end if somebody don't step up and start helping. So, with the events. And I think that's the direction to
Is it-
go right now. I don't think there's anything really as a city council that we can do. I think it's more,
With the city council, would you guys consider visiting more of, I mean, right now, I can just see the commercial club being completely dissolved and not having any events. So what is Stanley gonna do then? I mean, and I know this was the visitors thing, and that's why I was calling, is because the amount that was approved, yes, it will pay for the fireworks, and the band, and that's it. So right now, I'm at the point where we have a special board meeting, and we actually cancel the band, and there's the fireworks, and that's it. That's it that the commercial club is going to do over the 4th. So then you have all these people coming to town. There's no band, there's no tent. That's part of it. We pay for the tent. We request the tent, the stage, and then the band and the fireworks. We have the car show. Last year, RTC was great, and they paid for the prizes and everything for the car show. But again, it's the same businesses every year. And when I say the same, I'm talking about 4 or 5 businesses out of all the businesses in Stanley. So, do we cancel the band? So what are all these people going to do in Stanley that come to Stanley for 4th of July? Because I know a lot of people do come to Stanley. So, what do we do? I would just love to know, what do we do?
well, I think the only option you have really is to get it out to the people that some of these things are going to be dropped if there isn't people that step up. But as a city council, I just don't think, at this point, we can give exactly what you're looking for.
Is it something that you guys will discuss? I know Janelle came a month ago, and, is it something as a city council that you guys would discuss on what to do for these events? Or do I just be done with it and it's like, it's not my problem? There's no
Well,
events, no events.
I think if you meet with the people, get a bunch of people together as far as put it in the paper and have a bunch of people come to your meeting. Hopefully they will. Word of mouth is good, the paper's good. Do whatever you can as far as social media or whatever, and just put it point blank that we're gonna be missing out on those things if something, and people don't step up. And I think you'll have people respond to that. Outside of that, right now, I don't think we can do a heck of a lot as far as the city council, so.
Mr. Mayor.
But we really, go ahead.
There's two separate issues. I think that there's the funding and then
There
there's
is.
getting enough volunteers. And I don't have a great solution for the volunteers. I know the ones that do volunteer put in an incredible amount of effort. And, you know, getting more people involved is obviously necessary. But I do like what the committee did as far as the funding. They obviously couldn't fund 100% of everything requested. I don't think it's a good idea to zero out the balance in any given month because we don't know what's coming next month. So, I mean, I think this is a fair way to split it up.
Thank you.
And our discussion was to, if, say, you know, a month from now, 2 months from now, that the commercial club can't find the funding for the rest of the tent or whatever, if they can't find sponsors, they can't find whatever, it's not to say they can't come back and put another application in before the 4th of July.
Okay.
We've had that happen in the past with other applications. We just, like you said, Zach, we don't want to deplete our funds either. So that's the reason we went with the 15,000 for the commercial club and the other various amounts for the other applications.
Okay. Are there any other comments on this? Because we really do have to move on. There's a motion on the table right now to approve by Chad.
I'll
Is it-
second.
Okay, there's a second by George. Alin, would you take a roll call?
Lauren,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Chad.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Brandy. Okay, moving on. Montreal County Truck Route, County Route 13.
Bush? Okay. I'm just here as a representative of the Montreal County Commissioners. You guys all have the letter before you, and I want to know if you have any comments if we move forward sending this letter. This truck route goes through your city, and we thought we should afford you guys the opportunity to actually express your views as far as doing this. Because if the state would take over, this would affect how it's maintained and everything else. So I'll just let you guys go ahead and let me know if you have any comments on it.
Or,
Well, you see, I'm not going to speak for the state of North Dakota. I think the Montreal County does a great job on your truck route. They maintain it, they chip seal it, they overlay it. Look at your main street, and that's probably how your truck route is going to be.
To this point, they've done a great job, I think, on that truck route, and I live right out by it. So I use it a lot, and we sure can't complain on maintenance on that road. And the amount of trucks that go down that road are amazing. So,
It appears that the Montreal County Commissioners are in favor of the state taking it over though, as far as maintenance.
We haven't expressed our opinion yet at a meeting because at the last meeting, I suggested they actually bring it before you first, Chad, so that we have not taken action as whether to support this letter or not, because I wanted the opinion of you guys first because it affects your city. So we have not, personally, I don't even know, personally myself as a city resident, I'm not speaking on behalf of the county commissioners. I don't know if I'm in favor of it because I know how well we upkeep it, but that's just me.
I guess that would be my concern is we see what the maintenance and the upkeep of it is, and it's in comparison to Main Street and 6th Avenue, it's night and day difference. The other thing that really concerns me is when you put it into the hands of the North Dakota Department of Transportation, now they get to tell you if you can put in a culvert, if you can put in 2 more approaches.
Yeah, and I don't.
They totally control the right of way from the center line of the road to the back slope of the right of way, and I believe that's 150 feet out there from the center line. So any approach that would go into the new or the new, like golf course drive, once that starts to develop, there's one approach there right now. The state has their idea of how many approaches are acceptable, and it's sometimes an act of God to get them to let you put one in where you want it. They might choose where it can go. I think we need to think long and hard before we totally support it. I can understand shedding some of the cost from if that is part of what the commission is thinking. I mean, I get that, but
I don't believe the commission has a problem with the cost. I think the thing is, it is their truck reliever route. It does connect their state highway to their state highway. So it was more of that, and they've been putting them into the other cities. As far as anything else, I don't know if that was so much the issue.
I hate to see anything messed with that isn't broke. I think the county does a great job on that road.
So my suggestion to you is to send a representative to our next meeting and have them actually express your guys' thoughts as a board, so the rest of the board actually knows how you guys feel. Does that make sense to you? I don't know how the rest of you feel. I mean,
I'd like to hear, I guess, from everybody.
Has there been any other discussion about a different bypass? I know it was brought up years ago to let the state pay for.
there was at one time right out off of, is it 81st out there? The problem with that one, from what I understand, is the railroad crossing is too close. So if there ever was a train that come across, the traffic would back up on US 2, and the state wasn't in favor of that at that time. So there was concerns there. Other concerns was your truck traffic would not come past your businesses. It's a huge economic factor to the city of Stanley also. So that's another thing you would need to consider if you would actually put a truck bypass your city. Your sales tax would go down. Technically, there is a bypass. They can take Manitou North and go up to Highway 50 through Powers Lake and hit Highway 50 up there for part of it. So, there are alternative routes already if someone doesn't want to come through the city.
And my only concern would be is the reasoning is that, like it's been brought up that other towns have gotten major bypasses put in at the state's expense, and it's probably our one shot at getting that. We just want to be careful of the 4 quadrants or 3. If we're going to pursue that we maybe get the most bang for the buck.
To pursue a different route, you mean?
I don't have a preference, and there's obviously pluses and minuses to every one. I'm just saying that we've got one that's well maintained right now. If it was maybe either a different route or something where they were going to make a major improvement to it that was necessary in the near future, it would seem like a better, better cost proposition anyway.
I guess I'd like to see it stay with the county. I feel like it eliminates some additional red tape if there's anything that comes along that we would need to do. It's just how I feel. If it's not a expense issue for the county and there's nothing majorly wrong that, just isn't affordable to have fixed to it, I don't see why we would pass it to the state.
Just one of the questions I have, like what drove this draft here before us tonight? Like what was the main driving factor that it was brought forward?
This draft here, as far as, I really can't really speak on it all the way, as I know our chairman of the board, I should say chair of our board, and they met with the state highway, and Yana did, and then this was before us our last meeting. So I think we were looking at some options, and then this come before our board, so I just basically pushed it to you guys.
Yeah. And then just kind of a couple of the other questions, like you can kind of answer a few, but like what would be the pros of us maintaining control at the county level versus the cons versus the pros and cons of the state owning it? About the only thing I'm hearing is possible finance, right?
Yeah, you guys know what it costs to maintain a road, of course. We put a lot of money into that truck route already. I guess it would go to the state of North Dakota as far as the cost. Cons, there could be a lot of cons. I'm not really, the maintenance, you don't know when it's at their pleasure. I have to say right now with our funding, the maintenance is great. Approaches, Chad already mentioned that. Your lagoon is out there. I don't know if you have any issues with access out there. And, you know, you guys have another possible subdivision with, out there by the lagoon or on the other side past EOG. Maybe approaches there might be an issue. I don't know. But they might put a few more safety features in it at the state level, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. So,
Well, you can't get rid of the railroad track,
no.
you know, sorry.
Yeah. And I know you guys don't want to exchange Main Street for for anything, so the state's gonna keep that too, so.
You got
I think if we can keep it with the county, I think we should.
And I'm not gonna guarantee it. That's why I'd like somebody to come to the board to speak, because there's 5 other commissioners, and this will go to the commission, but I sure would like you guys to, if you have concerns on it, to ask to come to the county commission meeting. I think it's the 3rd Tuesday. I didn't bring the date with me. Can you tell me? The next Tuesday.
The council here has all been direct.
Yep. And I sure could bring your comments back too if nobody shows up.
Would it help if it was in the form of a motion from the city council?
Or just, yeah, some sort of support or something as far as that, what you guys want. Yeah.
And you people out there, I think you're residents of Stanley as well. You got any comments on that bypass? Love to hear them. Go ahead.
I think like you said, just give it, we could put something else on board. That's the fact and risk and not knowing what you could get, what could happen.
And I don't know if you guys heard any complaints on it. I mean, personally, I don't think we've had any complaints on it.
Public Works and the county work well together as far as that cross pattern there goes.
Actually,
I'm concerned with people that have to move the sign. I don't know if it was the city or the state.
I believe that was the city.
Yeah, as long as they don't come over there.
Brandy, the county doesn't want to take credit for that, so I'll just say the city,
Yes.
which it was.
I had to fight with him a little bit, he didn't think that was necessary, and I feel like I'm happy back out of it. And after they moved it, I have not seen one.
It honestly was the city. I'm trying to give them credit for what they did, so, okay.
But I think even the sign with where the old John Deere was, it was easy to see. Some guys miss the sign and they have to get raised to make the roof and go back on the county. You don't see that.
so currently, does the county set the weight restrictions on that road?
Yes, they do.
Because I did have, it's kind of related to this. I did have a question just 3 days ago from a trucker that said that sometimes that road isn't congruent with the state highways that feed it. So it
We
says,
keep that one at 105.
so is it the same, does it match Highway 8 on both sides and Highway 2?
It would depend what the state put on there, 2 different restrictions. So if they would, right now it probably does match. I'm not going to say what the state puts on that road there. So, yeah. And I think the last time we had a big load come through, I think we actually consulted with the city. It was a load that was coming through, some hazardous load that they wanted to use it. There might be some restrictions on it. If they can't make that 90-degree curve, they're going to have to take a different route. If they're bringing a wind tower through, they're probably not going to allow them.
But ultimately, that would become state's purview.
Yep,
if
that
it
would be
became
theirs.
theirs.
Yep, that would be theirs, the weight limits, yep. Right now,
Well,
it's.
the other thing to keep in mind is we have state intersections out here, Highway 8 and 2 on both ends that have street lighting and traffic lighting, in which already 100% of the cost of that comes back to the city to pay. The state doesn't help with any of that already. So it's not like they're the great friendly big brother that's going to come and help us with all kinds of things. Right now, we have an amazing relationship, a working relationship, I think, with the county. And I just don't see that changing. And the state, I mean, wherever that camera is, sorry, but they're not easy to work with.
I'd like to see a motion, I guess, from the council.
I'd move to encourage the county to not send the letter to the state and retain ownership of that truck bypass.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you, and then if you could just send that to Steph at the county and a copy to Lana, that'd be great. They'll put it on the agenda there for next week. Thank you.
So you said, Joan, did you say the third Tuesday?
Yep, third Tuesday.
So
would
which
be next
actually would be
Tuesday.
next Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay,
And if it's not there by then, I'll just relay the message that a letter is coming. So
If
I'm
the
not trying to
council's
pressure you.
fine with it, I'd go to
Thank
that
you.
and represent. If the council's fine with that, I would go and represent council there.
Okay,
I think it's important that we have somebody as a representative.
absolutely. I think that'd be great. Moving on, Bros Engineering updates.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'll start us off tonight with the Country Estates Water Project. I contacted JMAC. They gave me a schedule, and if you've looked at it, there are no dates on it. They said they're confident with the duration of that schedule, but they haven't given me a start date just because of the weather. If it keeps going like it has been, it might be sooner rather than later, but still no official start date. They've started submitting material certifications, and we've been reviewing those as they send them to us. There's no action or anything needed for that project. Moving on to phase 2. Before I get into any items, I was going to introduce Ken Niceather. He's in the green back there. He actually works with Bros. Just opened up an office for us in Bismarck, and he's the director of our municipal division. So he's going to play a pretty big role in phase 2 with reviewing, and I don't know if he'll end up stamping the plans or not, but he'll play a big role in reviewing them and helping us get our ducks in a row for that project. So I just wanted to introduce him to you guys. I think he's going to be here to the end of the meeting, he said. So if you have any questions or anything for him, he'll be here the whole time. Moving on to the items. You can see I attached the current scope of work for phase 2. That area is currently environmentally approved by NEPA. I guess for my own sake, I just wanted to bring that phase up to you guys and make sure that that is the scope of work. If there's anything else that gets changed or added on to later, we have to restart that whole environmental process. So I'm just kind of trying to get a jump on that. If there is anything that could come up, obviously we'd rather it come up sooner rather than later. From when I talked to Donovan before he left, I don't anticipate there being anything, but I just wanted to double check for my own sake.
I feel like lessons learned on phase 1, didn't we add a couple streets towards the end? So like that
We had to
would,
redo all that after.
so that would start the whole thing over. So like
So that's
what we
why-
learned in the past, let's figure out what it's going to be right now.
So that's why I'm asking now instead of September when it's a month to bid.
And it doesn't mean we're building it. I mean, we can reduce, we can't add on.
Yeah,
Better
and
to
yeah,
go.
we can increase the scope and redo everything, and then later decide, oh, never mind, and cut 3 blocks off, and it doesn't matter. But if we decide to add 3 blocks, well, now we got to redo everything at the last minute. So if there is a block that you're debating adding, let us know now, and it might just be better to add it now. And then if it gets cut and you end up not doing it, it won't matter. It won't affect anything.
The intersection of the old post office, the block south from there.
We have water issues on there because of it.
I think fifth is in the scope.
That should be in there.
And the,
Over here, they have a lot of issues with the intersection.
Out of curiosity.
yeah.
So the final two blocks on that road then before Sixth would be the pool and the block I live on. The rest of that entire strip would have been redone. Then between that phase and this phase, we would skip over 2 blocks. Is that something we should look at? Because the pool's done a good job of tearing up that road too.
We could certainly add it on there for now, like we said, for that study.
So there's one block in there that isn't. It's 2 blocks. We did a block and then 2 that. We did 1 block on first, didn't we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the block where it had the calls sidewalk or whatever, we did that block.
Yeah.
But then there's a block north there, a block north of there that's not.
Yep.
Two blocks, actually. But one of all blocks.
So we'd be adding 4 blocks basically if we went that route.
Taking it all the way to 600.
Yeah.
Is what George is recommending for that.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna put that much more into it,
And I'd be
we were at
curious,
least looking at it.
the portion, right, that runs alongside the fire hall there, the north-south piece. I remember that one back in the early 90s being opened up. So I don't know if the infrastructure, if that'd be more of an overlay, because I do remember that as a kid with shiny blue pipes inside, so that might not be as big of an undertaking as we'd think, at least that block.
Also, another block just north of me then was some of the ones that had clay and lead in them this last phase, so who knows what's in from there, so.
How long did it have?
I don't really know if we're looking for a decision tonight necessarily, but at least get it on your mind and thinking about that. Like I said, the sooner we know about it, the better. I'd rather not find out in September.
Yeah. I mean, would be a fair statement, say, considering all of completing the rest of Sixth. Or, sorry.
Yep, that would work. If or when we redo anything, I believe it's 30 days after we send out our solicitations to all the agencies that we need to. We have to wait 30 days for a response. So if anything changes, we at least have a month until we can hear back and, do something with it.
Yeah. I don't think we need anything formal on that.
But I mean, I guess I agree with Casey. If you look at it,
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it gets cut later and you decide it's too much money or whatever, the documentation's there, it won't affect anything. But if we add it on later, we have to redo everything at the last minute, so.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Then attached, I also have 2 quotes. I met with Chad out there actually and discussed it. The city GIS, if you're looking at the Camryn that we quoted for the last month, I believe it was, maybe 2 months ago, that was just for the storm. If you look at the bottom right of that sheet, there's a block of sanitary. The GIS has it only listed about 20 feet long and 8-inch. And if you go out there and actually pop the manhole, it's 4-inch PVC, and it just heads north. So we have no idea if there's just one house connected to that, and that's just their service, or if I think there's 4 potential connections that could be on that block. There's the shop to the east, 2 houses on the west, and then another house way in the northeast.
So I did check on the house to the northeast, it's the old place that they went to the winners.
Yeah.
And that's not a good.
That's on the tank. Okay.
Oh,
Okay. So there's 3 potential connections that could be on that 4-inch line, obvious. It'd be 7th Street, like just north of the hospital. It's a gravel road, kind of dead ends to the north.
right on this curve. On the other side of the river, right on that curve there where that, the shop is. Yes. It's on the other side. That gravel.
Doesn't connect to any other street, so I've
Yeah.
never been on there.
Only this.
Yeah.
So there's a 4-inch line that just comes out into that manhole right now. We don't know if it's just for one house or if it's for all 3. If it is for all 3, hopefully it's not, but that just kind of opens that can of worms that we tried to fix on phase 1 of getting people on their own service. So we just kind of want to find out how many people are connected to it, how far it is, the condition of it, just kind of anything to do with it before we really move forward with the design. We think it'd be a good idea to actually know what's going on there.
Well,
So I
think
got
it's
a quote from Gustafson and then CC Steel. CC Steel is the one coming to do the storm. And I contacted Kemper, but they never got back to me.
So CC
CC Steel looks like it's $863 plus the $1141 in case they need the jetter.
The quote he sent me, that jetter should be coming regardless for the storm. Just in case they need to clean the storm.
Okay.
So I believe the only additional would be the 863.
And chances are Gustafson's would only need the camera.
Yeah, he said that would be $250 unless they need to jet it, then it would be an extra $1,000. But that's if.
Well, and if they had to jet it, we're gonna have to pay for it I mean,
Yeah.
the jetting fee is, that's really a non-issue of whether we had to jet it because we were gonna camera it or we had to jet it because it was plugged. So to me, I guess my recommendation would be Gustafson Septic being a local company and $250 bill to camera that so that we know what that is money well spent. And that's $600 less than CC Steel.
I would much rather stay in town with it, so. Is there a motion to that effect? Okay, there's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, George, second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed, motion carries. Okay,
Okay, and then lastly is the Highway 8 Shared Use Path project. I actually heard back from them after I made this agenda and got pushed back another month. So now the estimated ship date for those light fixtures are May 1st, I believe was the letter they sent me. That's it.
you're not gonna move it out to June?
Not yet, hopefully. We'll see. I'm always hopeful.
Come on, Casey, I mean, 1 month.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Okay,
that's all I got. Thank you.
thank you.
You want to set up.
Okay, city lot, the pursuit purchase, an agreement there.
I was looking at that and I didn't think that we agreed to purchase it back for the same price that we were selling it. I thought that we were supposed to pay for it to purchase it back, or have for Brent to purchase it back at a fair market value.
That's what was said. Yeah.
That,
It looked like it stated that seller shall have the right to purchase the property for, and then so $7,900 if buyer desires to sell the property. So we can expect to buy back the same exact price if they're giving improvements on it. So that's where I see this agreement that we're written up, because it says that we have, buy back the
Yeah, I seem to recall it being with improvements.
I know that was said that night
right, at fair market value.
at fair market.
that
value.
is what was discussed. I did discuss that with Deb as well. She said obviously that could change depending on how many years down the road it could be. And she said she wasn't necessarily comfortable with specifying that in the agreement, and that's why she put it at the same price that we're selling it to. So I'm not sure how you guys want to handle it, or if there's another way to word it that would be more appropriate, but I did have that discussion with Deb as well. So I sent it to them. I have not received any comment back.
Move to approve as written if the pursuit is in agreement.
Okay, there's a motion on the table to approve the agreement. Is there a second?
I'll second.
George, second. Any other discussion? Because I do agree with Lauren, that was said.
And that's my only reservation, that's what we've gone on record saying, so there's a better way to.
But like Chad said, he's made the motion. If they're fine with this, then I guess we should be probably. So we got a motion and a second on the table. Any other discussion?
I don't know, it just doesn't feel honest on our part. I feel like it's my only issue with voting on it.
But the idea is they can reject it. You know, if they don't agree with it, Lauren, if they have no problem with it,
I know, I just don't want it to seem like, we said that that's how it would be, and then we have in writing it be something completely different. So I guess that's my chance, if we say we'll purchase it back at fair market value, because they'll be doing improvements and whatnot, and then we would send them this, and it's, I don't know, it seems, on our part, I guess, it's not issue with it, but.
In 8 years, fair market value with the way Main Street is going could be $2,000 too, though.
Absolutely.
It could.
Absolutely.
So,
And that's why we kind of agreed on fair market value, but, so it could also be 2,000.
well, at that point, it'd benefit them
Right.
rather than us. So I guess I don't think we're not talking about, mega thousands of dollars here. I think,
and they have the option to reject it.
yeah, if they have a problem with it, they can bring it back to us and we can make that change, I guess.
If what they put on there is something like playground equipment, couldn't they remove it? I mean, they could keep I think it's fair to sell them an empty lot for one price and buy it back for the same price, I guess, if they could remove the improvements.
Right.
Mayor, may I make a comment?
You can sure.
Initially, when I did bring before you guys what we had in our Camo-Vision for the assessment on his property, it was originally assessed at, I think it was 10,500, but there was an obsolescence on it. So it had actually decreased from what it was originally assessed at, which is what you guys agreed to sell it for
Right.
with the obsolescence.
But the fair market value was that price that's listed here. It had been dropped down already. And that's what we had sold other lots for in the city, and that's why I felt that it's only right. It doesn't matter who it is. If it's a fair market value and that's been placed on it, that's what it should be sold for. That's my opinion.
I think
Okay.
as long as the pursuit's got all the chances in the world to reject it if they're not cool with it, I think we're in every bit of the right thing.
Okay, motion and a second's been made.
If they reject it though, then we would just go back. We're not saying we're not gonna sell it to them on this. We'll say we'll go back and change that, correct?
We'll
Like it won't
rewrite
void
the
the
purchase
sale.
agreement.
Okay, just wanna clarify.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Alin, please do
Lauren.
that. Roll.
Lauren,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Chad.
All right.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. We will move on to the Stanley Park District. Request.
Okay, so obviously it was originally discussed when we did the loan agreement that they would not be required to have somebody here to represent this each time they submitted a pay request. So you do see they do have a pay app there for $135,900. I do know that Cassie had inquired to me where we're going to be taking, where we're going to be expending these funds from for the loan. Are we going to take these directly out of their city sales tax fund?
Where we would be taking the money out of?
Yeah, because obviously we're loaning them this money. So
Well,
we're just
we
wondering, are
can't
we
loan
gonna
them.
take it out of the general? Are we gonna take it out of,
We're gonna have,
directly out of their city sales tax
no, I
fund?
think it has to come out of the general. We can't take it out of their city sales tax. That's money they have coming.
Okay, because I guess that was the only thing we never really clarified when we did the loan agreement. So that's where everybody was confused on
Yeah.
where, how
There
this
was-
should be handled.
The park district, the park board, amongst us, the board members, we had confusion. We weren't sure if we needed to deplete that sales tax account that we have, or if it was, when we requested funds, if it would come from the city's general fund or where. So we were confused. Alin thought that it could come, it didn't have to be
But do
depleted.
you
Our city
not
sales
have
tax.
obligations this summer? I mean.
Yeah, we do. That's why we're requesting the 139,000, is it 900, I think?
Correct.
But we don't care where it comes from. And we knew we didn't really have to request funds from our own account, but we do have to present the bills. Chris signed it, had it notarized and everything, so we have to present that. Where you guys decide where it's coming from is up to you.
Well, and I think that's what we did decide is that he does pay requests, but I think that money has to come out of that general fund. It can't come out of the tax.
No, I guess all the pay requests that come from the pool project, your monthly bills, if you will, whether they're T-ball coaches and things like that, that's your account that you already have. Pay requests to complete this pool project are gonna come from the loan money that we gave you, or
I guess
that
my
we set up,
recommendation,
so-
Brandy, to you too, would be that you have a separate fund as well that this goes into.
Yep, we do.
So, exactly, so that isn't part of your
No
general
operating funds go in
operating
there at all.
funds.
No. But we
Okay.
do have that fund of 800, and I think the balance on it is what, 890? No, off the top of your head, or the paperwork. It's right around the 890,000.
$832,969.45 is in their city sales tax fund.
I thought when we had that meeting that you guys knew what you would need for the year. You guys would spend whatever you needed to out of your pool account or whatever you get into donations. And then whatever was above and beyond, you would submit to a LIN for us to pay and move it to the loan. So I don't see why, if you guys know that that's a money for something else, why we would even have you touch it at all. That's completely separate funding.
That is a pay request for pool construction, so.
Yep.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any other discussion?
So now I believe this starts your clock ticking. Because this should be the first pay request out of that.
Oh, there is one in there.
And then we still have enough of that at the end of the year to do payments in that sales tax account too. Especially if the sales tax is going to rise, I think it is, but I don't know. Thank you.
Lauren,
Aye.
Zach.
Aye.
Ty.
Aye.
George.
Aye.
Chad.
All right,
Hope it was light reading for everybody.
I appreciated the last 2 pages of it and,
Yep.
right?
I mean, because pretty much it's, as it states, it's not a report. They just come through, go through all our finances. Well, yes, I had to make sure I included that, you know.
Well, I just want to say that the auditor commended our city auditor on the job she's done. So congratulations. That's pretty good.
And I can't take all the credit, thank you though, but I mean, obviously I have a department that helps with everything as well. It's not just myself, so. Nope, I also appreciate my employees and everything they do as well.
So do we have to approve it or? Correct. I'll make a motion to approve the auditor's report.
Second.
Seconded by George. Once again, probably do a roll call on it.
Okay, Lauren,
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Chad?
Aye.
Okay, so this actually was a gaming permit you guys already approved. This was for the Montreal County Farm Bureau. This would have been for their poker chip chasing. It's more or less a poker run anyways. And obviously it was to take place the weekend that it stormed, so they did cancel it and it has been rescheduled to April 22nd. The only thing I was waiting on for one final detail, because the state actually has some new regulations that with like a poker, such as a restricted event, which would be like a poker tournament, 21 or paddle wheels, the other gaming organization on site is required to suspend their operations. And I did finally receive that confirmation from the Veterans Club of Kenmare today, that they would make sure that they would suspend their gaming operations for this poker run. Pull tabs, black, yep, so. Yeah, like I said, this new gal that I've been dealing with probably now the last 5-6 months, yeah, that, she said that's actually a requirement. I had to have something in writing from them confirming they'd be suspending their gaming.
Move to approve. Okay, motion to approve.
Second.
Lauren, second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The next one would just be a gaming site authorization, and this would be for a raffle, and it's for the Mule Deer Foundation. And this would be conducted on April 29th.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and second's been made. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed.
Yep, this would be a special event liquor license by the Leader Bar for a birthday party on April 15th, which will be done at the Montreal County Fair Building.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and second's been made. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign for opposed. Motion carried.
And just for clarity, the Mule Deer Foundation, I noticed there's a rental agreement in the packet too. Is that just for our information? That doesn't need any?
Yeah, it's just something they're required to have
Okay.
with the liquor license establishment.
right, stay there.
Okay.
You know, this is your first meeting and to screw up, that isn't so bad.
I was reading the agenda that I saw. My bad, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we don't.
I'll stay in the hot seat here.
It was brought to my attention of overnight parking at the Holiday gas station out there. Trucks are parked.
Um, Well, if that's what occurred, it will be corrected because if there's signs up, we're responsible to go out there to encourage people to move along. So that's will occur. And if what you said happened, it'll be addressed appropriately. Oh, I thought I was done and I can go home now. Okay. So some of you guys I haven't met, I'm Chief Kevin Litton. Thank you for the opportunity to be here in front of you guys tonight. I really do appreciate this. There's a couple of things that I wanted to discuss for the police department tonight. We know that we moved to Lexipol, which is a policy writing company, to create policy for us. I want you to know that we did kickoff meeting today. I pushed out 6 new policies today, so we're establishing and moving forward with going to have these new policies now. This is a great transition. It's a great transition, and we will be meeting with them every Tuesday for the next several months to ensure that we're moving forward at a relatively decent pace to get these policies implemented correctly. With that being said, I reviewed as soon as I was appointed, I reviewed the contract that we had with Lexipol. There were a couple of things on there that were not needed by our agency. I can create those on my own. I do not need their product for that. So I requested that they remove those items. We reduced our yearly subscription fee by $1,400 because of the unnecessary modules that we were given that we don't need. Okay. The other thing I would like to talk about is our field training program. As we know, we currently have openings at the police department. When I took over, I realized that there was not an established field training program for our department, even though we do have a certified officer to provide that field training. So we're working to put together a 16-week training program for new entry-level people. There will be a modified one for any laterals that want to come over to our agency. With that being said, I would like to give you guys some information. Okay. So this is a quote for a program that would assist us with field training. It's called Agency 360. It's a web-based program, and it does a lot of things. It creates a standardized onboarding process with this one platform. So what we can do is we can go in and we can say, okay, every single police officer needs to know and learn this to do an onboarding process. Okay, I need to do these logins. I need to contact and get their post stuff sorted out so we can get them to the academy and so on. It also communicates clear expectations
And then it will also set your trainers and trainees up for success. What we can also do with this is if we have an officer that we want to send down a specific career path, we can create basically a profile in here, and we can give it to that individual, and we can make sure that they're going down the right path for what we're looking for. We can also do performance evaluations with this. So because of everything that this offers, I've reached out to a couple of department heads and explained to them this program, which they could utilize all of these same things for their onboarding of new employees and such, and they were on board with this as well. So I'm asking that you guys look at the quote, and I would like to see if we can get that approved to move forward with that program.
So the committee recommended it for approval, but we were kind of hoping that we could get it across the board from all of them, like split out, because it could be utilized through all the different departments, not just have it go to the police committee in our budget.
It looks like it's a program that all departments can utilize.
All departments can utilize for a lot of it. It's not just.
Does each department committee then need to approve individually before?
You need to meet as a committee to talk about it?
Yeah, as in like Public Works, do they need to get together and meet and approve before going forward, et cetera?
I guess I don't feel, I mean, that's just a recommendation that I got from the committee for those of us sitting here, so.
I think, looking at it with this system, I mean, it seems like it really standardizes that process that changes every time there may be a different council group or different people elected. It seems like this is kind of what we've always been trying to solve on our own as far as performance, merit increases, stuff like that. And just, it seems like people sometimes just had to make it up as we went. And it seems like this is kind of a transparent way to standardize, employee review and retention and, growing the potential. So, I mean, it seems like a pretty good tool that I think would be used through numerous departments, so.
And it's a defined metric. I mean, so it takes out that guesswork from, this group of employees, they don't have to measure up here, and then this group has to measure up to a whole different set of metrics. Well, I guess I don't really care if you're in the police department, or if you're in the office, or if you're in the public works department. No, I understand that each has their own job requirements, and that plays into it, but as a whole, we're one little family here. So I think it's beneficial for something to happen.
Okay,
Questions? Just, have you used this before, or is this something you're
Yes, I
familiar with?
Yes, I'm very familiar with it.
And then is there, excuse me, is there training provided by the software company as to, some of this is kind of complicated just on how to use the software, so I don't know what this is, but.
It's very easy,
Okay.
very user-friendly, but they will also do onboarding, so we can bring up and whoever and sit down and do the training and everything's like that.
Who sets all the parameters for each department?
The department heads. So like Lynn would have her own for the gals in the office if she chose. Amanda could do one for herself, if you want it. But I think that Public Works would be able to set up their own, and then each administrator, it sounds like, can just see the people that are underneath them. So it's not like Amanda will go in and say, oh, this police officer did this right in there. So it would be directly department heads going down to each, and they can change things. It would create an onboarding process too. So they could set up that every time somebody's hired on, it's the same documentation, everything like that. It really, I think, gives the city as a whole a chance to be cohesive and on the same page.
And on that note right there, that brings up a good point, because if we have a department of one, no offense, we have a department of one, in the worst case scenario, something happens to her, if she's completed the onboarding documentation, something happens to her, we now know what we need to do for that position, and we can move forward with doing what we need to. So it provides that documentation to assist us in the future.
Okay.
So I'll make the motion to approve it, pulling from everybody's budget equally or on a percentage basis.
Yeah.
It would be nice if maybe it could be paid for out of like the general fund as something for each of the department heads, but I'm not sure if that's an option. If
Yeah.
that's allowed to happen.
Also, obviously, like the majority of mine and hers is out of the general. So, and actually the police department is its own category, but is still within the general anyways. Public works, obviously, we have water, sewer, garbage, and highway. So I don't know, like if take that amount and split it up, and force to take out of each of those.
What's easiest for you?
I can figure it out however you guys want me to. I guess I do need to know how much it is. Okay.
Okay, there's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I am gonna need to see that quote, please, though.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the quote would be $55,250. That's yearly with the $2,100 setup, and then the subscription is $3,150.
I'm all in favor of going forward with it, but I would like to see in the future kind of some feedback from all departments as to what they like about it, or how easy it is to utilize and how they're utilizing it.
Okay, with a motion and a second, any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
All right. The next thing on mine is pay corrections for the department. Where this is coming from is the big sheet of paper. I had some help, and we did a kind of a case study. And the following communities will reach out to. Tioga, Minot, Stanley, Rock City, Wilson, Philadelphia, Newtown, Parkland, Maine, Montreal County, Williams County, Independent. And on this list is salaries and hourly pay for the following positions: the auditor, deputy auditor, administrative assistant, community services director, economic development director, street superintendent, so on, to including chief police, sergeant, lieutenant, detective, police officers, school enforcement officers, all the way down your librarian, your library assistants, and your part-time employees for seasonal work. So it's a very in-depth pay study to kind of see where we were as a community and as an agency on our salaries for our office. Looking at stuff, I see that we're a little bit on the low side, so I came up with a step process. It's going to be an 11-step process. And as you can see in the Word document, it kind of defines what the steps are, what the monetary value is for each step. As you'll see, there is a line item, a line specification for police officer, a line specification for lieutenant. If you would like me to read each one of those, not the steps, but the wording on the side to be able to explain to you how we move through these steps, I can. It will be up to you. If you would like me to do that or not.
I don't think so. And this was brought to the police committee,
Yes, sir.
and how does the police committee respond to this?
We had quite a bit of discussion. Again, this kind of makes the process more transparent. It makes easy, followable, predictable schedules, of the increases and stuff. And this wouldn't, with the conversation, it's not going to include any cost of living adjustments or anything. That would be completely separate, but just kind of gives a pathway through. And we, moved some numbers around and stuff, and then had some conversations because, trying to compare apples to apples in there. I mean, some of these rates over here based on a different hourly structure per month versus, so what it does though is it gives a clear path forward. I mean, the committee, I think was unanimously in support of when we saw something like this, and we kind of got in the weeds a little bit on, changing some numbers around and stuff, but I mean, went back and forth for quite a while. And I think if you give probably the abbreviated version, I think we can ask questions, as we, see fit. But for the most part, I think that this is a very nice step in a direction that really makes a cleared out process of, how you navigate through our, pay scales at the police level. So
One of the big reasons why I decided to do something like this, and I'm not going to take all the credit for this program. Hillier uses a similar step system.
Watford, I think, does too.
I'm sorry, who does?
Watford, I believe.
And so the reason for the changes to what you see here is to help attract and retain the type of officers we want for our community. This is very attractive to individuals that want to serve our community. So.
Can you give us a few examples of where current officers would fall in these steps?
So absolutely. So because in a little bit, we're going to talk about the hiring process. So let's start with that. So at step 0, an entry level person would start at step 0 at the $24 a month. Okay. After six calendar months, they'll move up to the step 0, $26 an hour mark. So during that step 0 time frame, they're going to the academy. They're completing field training. They're doing the required training that they're required to do to ensure that they can become a full licensed officer. Once they complete that, then we can go to that step 1 mark. So with to kind of touch base on what you had asked, for our current officers, because of the years that they have, and as you read to the 3rd paragraph there, lateral employees with 3 or more years of experience will start at step 3. So because they already have 3 years of experience, I would graciously ask that they be moved to step 3 to be where we would bring in lateral officers as we move forward with our hiring process.
They're at about step 0 right now for 2, which is Savannah and Dylan. And then Jenkins falls into the lieutenant side, so he just started over there. And the chief is on, something totally different. So we're down to just those officers currently. So it would be a significant raise for them right now.
But again, in my time here with them, getting to know Officer Wilson and Officer Thomas, they're a great asset to this department, great asset to this community, and I really don't want to lose them. And a step system like this will certainly entice people to stay. As you can see, there's 2 different colors. So for the audience, unfortunately, I didn't make enough copies for everybody. But step 1 through 6. So step 1 through 6, at the completion of 12 calendar months of the current step, the employee will be eligible for 1 step increase based upon a meet standard or higher on their annual performance evaluation, or at the recommendation. So this also gives a little bit of transparency and accountability or clarity for the commission and the police committee to have some insight as to how our officers move through this step program. And then for steps 7 through 10, those are going to be at the completion of 24 months. So every 2 years, they'll be eligible for a step increase from 7. And then they would max out at that 10 steps. With this being said, my recommendation is also that any new employee that we hire or any promotions within the agency now be required to complete a 1-year probation. This will give us time to truly evaluate the individual and take whatever necessary steps to correct or replace.
Is that, so when you say probationary, how does that definition apply to steps? Completely separate? Because step 0 is 6 months.
No, it's completely separate. So for a brand new person, for their entire time in step 0, they would be on probation. Or for instance, if we were to, we'll use Lieutenant Jenkins, for example, even though his 6-month review is done in a couple of days. If we were to promote him after this meeting, after all of this was approved, then he would be on a 1-year probation instead of a 6-month probation. Yes, sir.
So, just out of curiosity, so then if they start at step 0 as a brand new officer,
Yep.
no experience, then they go to academy, right?
Yes, sir.
So they spend 6 months on probation, make it through to the top side of step 0, and then they go for another, would step 1 then be a promotion to full-time officer?
That's my understanding and belief, right?
Yep. So
That's what-
So essentially, if you get hired on, you're a 1.5 probation before you can even.
No. So that 6 month, that 6 calendar months that we're referring to is only for that step between the 0 first and the 0 second, if that makes any sense. And then they'll be on a year probation, so all of step 0 will be a year of probation.
George, maybe I can explain it to you because it was a little confusing, but if you're brand new, like you or I decided that we wanted to be an officer, we would have to do two main things. We would have to go to academy and we'd have to complete a field training. So it gives a 6 month saying like, hey, you're right where you need to be. Academy could be within a year. It's not like if you get hired, they just have it continually rolling. You may miss the first or second class. So it's pretty much saying, you know, you've stuck through it. You've at least completed your FTO training or academy. So it gives that $2 extra bump in there to say that you've kind of completed one of those two tasks, or unfortunately you got caught in the middle of the two, and gives that bump because they've completed something
I understand
of the
that part.
requirements.
I understand that part. I was more so questioning what happens after you complete academy, then is it a new position?
No, it's
In
probationary
step.
period, like everybody's on a probationary period, like the chief's on a probation. It gives us a chance to, is that what you're asking?
When you graduate academy, do you become a new position, or is it still the same job you were hired on as?
Still is the same job you were hired on.
So you have a 1-year probationary period from
Right.
hire on date, regardless if you end up in step 1 or not before the end.
Correct. So now I understand what you're saying, and I apologize. So if you're hired on as an officer, you will have that 1-year probation. When I talked about a promotion within the agency, would be to another position like lieutenant or a corporal or sergeant if we were to ever happen to go. That's what I would refer to.
Not between steps.
Not between
So
steps.
essentially, because if you read it as first step, you're never out of probation for 6 years. And, yeah, that's what you're gonna have to make again.
Right, yeah, just a year, so from your start date, 1-year probation. And that 1-year probation from when you start, especially for a new person, because we do have that year to send you to the academy here in North. So you're allowed to work as a police officer prior to going to the academy, as long as you complete the field training. So this will give us time to complete the field training, complete the academy, and truly evaluate this individual's ability to perform his duties for our community without, that.
But I have some
Are you guys recommending basically this sheet then as a pay schedule?
Correct.
Those numbers,
Yep.
are you making that in the form of a motion?
Yes, that is my motion, and included in that would be to bring those two officers immediately to step 3.
Okay. There is a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on the table. Any other discussion on this? Alana, I'd like you to.
Lauren,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Chad.
All right.
Okay. Hearing no nays, motion carries unanimously.
I only have two more things to talk about, then I'll get out of your hair. I apologize for something this with this. It won't be like this every time, I promise. The next thing I would like to talk about is our body camera system our body cameras and our car cameras that we currently have.
More paper for us.
I killed a tree.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay, so for our car cameras and our body cameras, and I apologize, I didn't bring my answer today. We currently have a company called Digital Ally. I don't know how to nicely say, we have a lot of problems with this system that we currently have. Yes, we paid $81,000 for six car cameras and 6 body cameras. After we paid that $81,000, we had to pay an additional person. I don't know the amount of money we paid per car, but we had to pay to have that stuff installed in vehicles. Okay? My patrol car that I'm currently driving has 284 videos going back to before Christmas that will not upload, cannot get them uploaded. My body camera that I currently have has, shoot, I want to say 19 to 20 gigs worth of videos that we cannot get to upload. We are having nothing but significant issues with the current system. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. We call technical support because one of the body camera's firmware was way out of date. It was showing a date in 1969. We're not close to 1969. We were on the phone with the tech, and the tech told us to turn the camera upside down, put the screen face down on the table, count on it 3 times to make the firmware work. And I'm not joking when I say this. I was dumbfounded when I heard him say this. I asked him, are you seriously asking us to get this right now? That's what we need to do. Okay, that's not how technology works, especially in our day and age, what we're trying to do. The way our cameras are supposed to work is when we activate our light in our patrol car, our camera is supposed to come on, and then our body camera is supposed to activate. We have a couple of cars. The camera has to be disconnected because the battery keeps dying in our patrol cars. I need my patrol car to start, so our officers can respond to the service. We're not able to utilize the camera. Big problems. So I'm asking that we entertain the idea of moving to Axon body cameras. The reason I want to move to Axon body cameras is because they work in conjunction with our tasers that we currently have. So anytime an officer activates their taser, and when I say activate, there's a switch on the side and turns on. You don't have to pull the trigger, but just by turning it on, it activates the system. It will turn on anybody's body camera within 30 feet as well as any car. So if we're outside and we're dealing with an individual, and let's say our officer forgets to turn on their body camera, the situation escalates. The officer pulls his taser and turns it on. Instantly, we have body camera footage in plus time. We don't have to wait for the officer to turn it on. It does it automatically. Anytime our officers activate their emergency lights in their car, it's going to turn on. It's also going to, we can set it up to do whatever you want. When they activate their siren, it turns on. When they open up the rear passenger door, if they have to turn their camera on, there's only a couple of reasons we would be entering the backseat of our patrol car. That's one, check for any contraband prior to our shift starting or after we have taken somebody into custody, or putting somebody in the backseat of the car. So for me, as an administrator, it's absolutely important to know what's going on. So as soon as they open that door, I want to know why they're putting people in the backseat of their car. It could be giving them a license, but that all needs to be documented. With the new policies that we're going to be doing, the camera will be activated every single time we have a conversation with someone. And that's how we report ourselves. And I'm sorry, we're in a day and age where everything does need to be recorded. And it helps the citizens to ensure the officers are doing their job correct. It helps us as administrators and council to ensure that our officers are serving our community the way we want them to. So I'm asking that we move to this. As you look through these quotes, there's 2 quotes here, one for the body camera, one for the car camera. And let me tell you, if you look at the car camera one, this includes an awesome program called Respond. What it allows me to do is give dispatch and or our agency administrators logins to the system, and we will see in live feed where our officers are at and what they're doing. So if they activate their emergency lights, we'll get an alert on our system. And so let's say they get into a foot chase or something along that line, the dispatchers will know exactly where they are if they're not even able to communicate. So if we have a downed officer, we'll know where they are based on all of this technology that we're looking at. Okay, with the body camera footage, with the body cameras, We can pay the lump sum or we can do it yearly. I'm asking that we pay it yearly. It is a 60-month contract. At the 2.5-year mark, we get brand new equipment. They will just send it to us as part of our agreement that we'll have. With the car cameras, they will send us equipment at the 5-year mark. The reason they do the 2-year mark body cameras is because in the event that they get broken, plan here and stuff like that. Plus, they also have a great warranty where if something happens to it, I send it back, they should be a brand new one overnight. So their customer service staff has been fantastic, and the abilities of this program are amazing. And I have used this system in the past. Also with our body cameras, it gives us the ability to respond to a burglary or a call where there's photographs or something that can be done. We can send a link to the victim, and they can take the photographs and upload them to us on their own. So it also helps us help them. So I asked that we go to a yearly subscription, and the yearly payment would be $26,508.49.
That's for car and,
That's for both, yes, car and the body camera. And most of the agencies across the country utilize this program because of how good it is.
I think one of the other things to mention is we do have the potential, I think we're looking for council's approval to seek selling our current stuff.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to say that part.
Mhm.
I have had agencies reach out to me, and they want to, one agency wants to purchase 4 of our in-car cameras and body cameras of the systems that we currently have. They're aware of the system, and they sought us out, and they would like to purchase it. So if I can get the council's approval to approve this, then I will work with that agency on approving some of the money from that whole system. And then we will have 2 extra cameras that we got to sell with other agencies that are in.
okay. And what was the police commission's thought about this?
Looks like we're gonna have to do something either way, either sooner or later. Feel that, from a legal standpoint, this is gonna give us the coverage, the protection that we have. So committee was in agreement with this to bring this forward to council as an action item that we'd like to approve with the yearly subscription.
Okay.
You had said that, like the body cams, for example, every time you have a conversation with anybody, they kick on?
So that's gonna be our policy, is that when we talk to people, we activate those. When I say when we talk to people, it's not if I run into somebody at the store, be like, hey, George, how you doing, But if we're there in a police capacity investigating something, then yes.
So, for example, our SRO at the high school, her conversations with every kid all day long?
No, unless she's performing law enforcement actions.
Okay.
So you gave a few examples, like open a door, turn on a siren, taser. Like what would be her, she's walking around the school, how would she activate it? Assuming-
There's a button on the front of it that she can activate.
Any further discussion? Any motions?
I'll make the motion to approve the purchase and the sale of the 6 that I guess it'd be total of 12, but 6 of the vehicles, 6 of the body.
Okay, there's a motion on the table for both selling the old equipment and buying the new equipment. Is that it? Now you're talking about just paying the yearly subscription,
Yearly subscription.
okay? Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
On the sale portion, do we want that to come back to committee prior to any agreements made?
I guess,
That would be up to the police committee.
Okay, I don't know if that needs to be part of the motion or not. So.
Um,
Committee would just like to see the numbers before we
Absolutely, that's only fair.
Lauren,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Chad.
All right.
Okay, votes unanimous to pass, so motion carries. At this point in time, we're gonna take a 10-minute break and reconvene in 10 minutes. Part of that's the police chief's fault.
What's that?
Thank you for coming tonight.
Miss it.
Proper care use.
I got one more thing, it's gonna take like 2 seconds.
Because I think it's feeding through chat. When I get mine on, it comes here, but if you have it pointed up, it reacts to that speed. It does it every time. Our system. All right, let's rock it.
Are we ready?
Yep, you're 10 minutes early.
Okay.
All right. We'll call this meeting back in order again after that brief break,
Intermission.
intermission. And thank you, Chief, for letting me interrupt you.
The last section will only take about an hour. I'm kidding.
There will be another break.
So the last section I have here is the hiring process and the resignation of an officer. Officer Metz resigned as of the 5th. He moved on to a different law enforcement agency in the state. So I wanted to let you know that we created a flyer. I have this going around on social media, advertising our position. We currently have the 2 positions that need to be filled in with his vacancy. I currently have 6 applications, 3 of them being lateral officers and 3 of them being entry level. So I would like to move forward with doing an interview process with the individuals and make the best selection for our agency.
Okay. Is the police committee going to be involved with this interview process? How did you want to set that up and do that?
I think that's what the plan was, is that get candidates together for interviews and then.
Okay, so it'll be a chief along with the police committee doing the interview? Okay,
You say you have applicants already, or you're just?
I already have applicants. I have 3 laterals and 3 entry level people. Those applications are already sitting on my desk waiting to be reviewed and processed.
Stupid question, but when you say lateral, what do you mean?
Somebody who is already licensed in our state and able to act as a law enforcement officer. And the 3 individuals that have turned in applications have more than 6 years of law enforcement service.
So at least box 3.
At least box 3, yes.
Okay, I don't think we need a motion for that. The police committee is, I guess that's, how do you feel about that? I don't think we need a motion for that, just to go ahead and schedule the interviews and I guess bring it back for council approval.
Mayor, may I make a comment? We do need to have official motion to accept Officer Andrew Metz's resignation, though.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion on the table to accept the resignation of Officer Metz. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Other than that, the police department's doing great. Great group of individuals. We're moving forward and doing great things, so.
Okay, well, thank you for your lengthy report. Public Works report. Brady.
Oh, there. Better. The dust control agreement with the county. I already sent in the request for it because the deadline was April 7th. But it's the same roads we do every year around town. It's about 1.75 miles worth. So yeah, that's it. If you have any questions about it.
Motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion on the table to approve the dust control agreement.
Again?
And a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Motion carries.
Okay, and then I did just want to ask you guys about the lagoon project. We kind of want to get going with that as soon as we can. So I don't know if we made like a decision on how we're going to proceed with that.
There should be a second quote coming by the end of this week.
Okay.
What he's talking about, I believe, is the road repair work.
Yeah.
Washed out the storm water side of
Cell 3.
So we looked at it late in the fall last year and within a week of it doing what it did, it turned the winter on us.
Yeah.
So, I will contact the second bidder tomorrow and make sure.
Okay.
If they don't, then I guess they've been given plenty enough opportunity. And we do have a good bid already, so.
Okay. Yeah, because I think it's going to be a little bit worse too than it was before because it's already
Yeah,
running
and
through there
I-
pretty good. So
With that, we understand that is going to come.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Have it go look at it.
Yeah, we talked to him today, so he's going to go look at it too. So.
Okay.
All right, but that's all I got. So
I had one question. Just drove by the lagoon yesterday, and after the temperatures today, it's probably not an issue, but it looked like the channel around the lagoon was dangerously close to having storm runoff, maybe going in the lagoon, which would
yeah,
kind of
it's
seriously mess up
getting
the
up there.
biology of the
Well, it's-
lagoon. Do we have visibility all the way around?
Not
to-
all the way around, like it goes around cell 2 and then goes around cell 3, but it's supposed to go around both directions, but the one side is totally plugged still. So I mean, if we need to, but that's the side too that's washed out. So it's kind of a good thing that it's not running through there because that would make it worse too. But if we need to, we can probably go thaw out that culvert and get it running through there.
Just
'cause, yeah, it's getting
kind of
close
an
to the top
emergency
of the
plan
road,
for getting
so.
that flowing better. I'm assuming there was maybe some ice or something kind of slowing it down, but
Mhm. Yeah. All right.
Thanks,
you.
Brady. Okay, attorney updates.
Sorry, Mayor, we need to back up. We got one additional thing that needs to be dealt with by the Public Works, which would be a complaint.
Okay, as you see, Bernie, this came in right at the last meeting. I guess I didn't know that it was necessary to call a special public meeting to address this. You can read it out. The bill, I agree with Kathy Williams, the complaint. Her renter was obviously not a good renter. Don't shut the water out that way. Whatever the date was. And we were unable to turn the shut off down. So the problem of not turning the water off was ours. The onus is on us that we couldn't turn the water off. And I would make the recommendation that the bill that is due and ordered by Kathy is that she states. And do the option right off.
So I did provide you with a new bill history. It's at the end. And if you look at March, we did receive payment from Kathy because obviously the renter was evicted. And so she paid on it. So she paid, the previous balance was $437.83. This does obviously include late fees, but she paid $256.29. Obviously, another additional late fees were figured in again when we did March bill calculations, and there was still some water usage. So the total bill remaining after that payment is $221.92 is what we'd have to write off.
I'll do my motion, right up. Pretty hard to charge somebody.
Yep.
200 and some bucks because I put it.
Okay. There's a motion on the table. Is there a second? Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries.
I just want to say, we did try to shut it off a couple times. I think that was back in December. And it was full of ice and rocks and stuff. We tried to jet it out and still wasn't able to get on it. But then at the time she wrote that up, we went and tried it again. We were able to get on it at that time. So it works now. So it's all good.
Okay. Now attorney updates.
Okay. So the only item I have is the land access agreement with Select Energy Services that was approved way back in February. They only recently, as of yesterday, gave us their amendments. So now we're working on our amendments pursuant to the February's meeting where we discussed what kind of items we'd like to add to that agreement, and then it was approved based on contingent upon legal's markups. So we'll be working on that, and that's all I have. We just got that agreement back from them yesterday, so
Okay.
that's all I have.
All right. We'll move on to council concerns. And we'll start with Lauren. Zach? Hi.
Good.
George?
I met with a group of people, just as a regular parent also, but for the rec center question at hand, I guess. The council's recommendation was to go put together a board and all of those kinds of things to get all that rolling. So they took that step and initiative, and I went to that meeting, and it's part of the Century Code. In order to even pursue down that road, you would have to create a new rec district where the city the school and the park board would all be in conjunction in order to be able to have that in the school's tax district. So in order for that to even move forward, all the agencies would have to be on board to at least discuss it together. So.
Okay. Have you visited with the school board?
I know that some of the other members of that group were going to meet with the school board because I wasn't going to be here. And I told them that I would talk to council while I was here. So,
okay. Once
that would be established, then the council would appoint like any other committee.
Yeah, I think what you've heard from us previously on this whole deal is that personally and, even as a group, I mean, we support the idea of it. We just don't want to support the funding of a rec center.
I don't think the project would be anywhere close to that at this point. In order to even put it through to a citywide vote, they would still have to establish the rec district. So there has to be an actual set up organization with a board of directors in order to move forward.
But what you're kind of going toward or getting at is that it would be a district such as the fire department or a school, or so you'd be on the tax roll basically with that organization. Is that what
if it were to move forward past planning phases?
I think what he's trying to say is in order for that to continue is collectively, the city would have to have a ballot initiative, the school district would have to have a ballot initiative, and the county would have to have a ballot initiative.
Not the county.
The county doesn't, it's the
No,
school and the
the
city.
park board.
Or the park board, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Park board. The park board would have to relinquish some of theirs or collectively join it wholly as an entity with the school and the city. But
Right,
it
so
has
that's
to be
the-
approved by your voting population.
Right. And in order for the rec center portion of that to go through,
so this has to go on the general ballot for the city?
if you want to get any kind of funding from tax money ever.
Right.
So it would be a separate rec district, not a park district?
Your park district, its current sales tax setup is the current park district. They would not have to relinquish it willingly to the rec district, but the public could petition that, just like you guys did, and put it to a vote for the voting population of that respective district. Could take it away.
Either you're taking some away from what's currently distribution to the hospital, that, or you're raising taxes.
Collecting more tax, right?
Well, it's going to be one way or the other.
But in order to even have that conversation, you have to organize first.
Right.
You have to create that board of directors, and it has to be done by those three entities.
So exactly what are you looking for then, George? Approval from us?
Anything, he's just telling you.
No, I know.
It's more of an update, and as the other agencies also agree to work together kind of thing, then we can bring it back to have a conversation of more substance.
Yep.
But it's just following up basically what their directive was from our council to do, so.
Okay.
So the district itself takes a vote to create, is that true? Or you're just saying we can work together to create it?
So it actually has to be a contract to make this district. This rec district is a contract.
You're
between-
creating a totally new
Right.
district.
It's a totally new district just based on the rec division.
And in the event that went through, that would be a tax funded district.
Right.
I mean, I guess it was said to form a group and whatnot. I guess in my eyes, I kind of thought it was gonna be a little more private, where they would have went to the county. I mean, I didn't necessarily think there would be creating a.
All those things happened.
taxation entity.
All those things happened, and that's the next step.
But for them to move on in a different way, they wouldn't have to have that happen though. Like anything
There's-
could create a gym that would have that to offer.
You actually can't. There's
So
a,
if I wanted to start like a gym that had 5 basketball courts on it and offer different classes in there, you tell me I'd have to.
if you were 100% privately owned, you could. If there's any group entity at all, it has to go through your Parks and Rec district.
I see. Okay.
So, like I said, for now, it's just information and pass through. And
Well,
as I hear more on it, I'm happy to bring it back to council and or have them bring it to council.
well, thank you for keeping us updated on it because, like I said, I didn't know that. So. Any other comments, Chad?
The only thing I got is the private snow removal that happens within their town and where they're placing the snow from, the people that are not private. I've had complaints, and I guess I can't disagree with them. And I think that it's all right for them. I'm the business owner, I had works on the small, I was at driveway. And then turn around and call that snow to eyes business. I get it, and we get a bunch of snow, but what do you do with it? I don't. If I'm a private business, now I gotta do mine, I don't know, gorgeous. It's not my problem. How you do that? I don't know if it's our problem as a city, but.
I'd rather have it be Mr. Linton's problem.
I think, I mean, as a group, we can encourage the local contractors. I think the layer is gonna have to pay more and not all the way.
Well,
Can't go talking about somebody else.
plus, I mean, we could go as far as the people that are actually doing the snow removal, I guess, if they're permitted to do it doesn't have to, it could be a no-cost permit, but if you're gonna remove snow in Stanley, they have a list of the people that do move snow. And, you know, we could put that on Brady's back right now. Brady would know who's at that point moving snow and if they're doing it wrong, like taking it out of your driveway and putting it in a certain place.
I wouldn't agree with that. I mean, charging them to.
Not charging them.
Just have them sign. So if I hop on my 4-wheeler and I want to help my neighbor out and push his, then I'd have to call the city and get on Brady's list to do it because that's when I mean, at what point when my neighbor brings his tractor across to clear out the snow?
There is an
are we
advantage.
monitoring?
As long as he dumps it on your property, I don't care.
But I mean, it's the same thing. I pay to have the snow moved out from in front of my mailbox and then the city comes through and pushes it right back in the spot that I just paid to have cleared. Do I call the city every single time and say, hey, you push this after I paid to have it cleared? I mean, it's snow. I mean, there's a point where you can say you're dumping excess and if it caused damages, but we're talking a lot of snow accumulation in a small town. I don't think anybody's.
Well, I'll be honest with you.
Private property, it's not yours.
Yeah, I've seen people moving snow and basically dumping right next to a hydrant. And I've actually stopped them from putting it by a hydrant because that should be common sense, right? It's not always. So do I think it hurts to let the city know that you plan on moving some snow? I don't. You know, doesn't necessarily have to be called a permit, but so long as they're aware of who is doing it, I let them know when I was doing it, basically.
And what happens if you don't let them know?
I don't know, probably not a heck of a lot.
I mean, is that the same for every kid who's out there charging neighbors $20 to move snow? Then we need to worry about, well, this kid pushed it onto so-and-so's property line. I mean, at what point do we micromanage how everybody's, that sounds like a civil issue to me. It sounds like a civil issue.
I don't like we're talking about shoveling the sidewalk.
No, we're
But
not.
that's what it turns into. Because we have current sidewalks.
I'm not asking like to turn that into a molehill like that, and then them two neighbors can fight them all. But if it's a parking lot and you've got 600 tons of snow being pushed into your parking lot, I've got a problem with that.
We already have a city ordinance that says to keep your sidewalks clear, and we make our kids walk in the streets because we don't go through and charge people to have it done. So we have snow, but I'm just saying, we have snow issues there that we're gonna,
There's a total difference there too, Lauren. Because I mean, when you get that much snow, the ordinances are pretty much out the window. I mean, because you have to be able to open the roads up. You're gonna have piles that come over the top of the boulevards and onto the sidewalks. Some of the sidewalks are right next to the curbs, so they're certainly gonna be covered. You couldn't enforce that if you wanted to. And I think it comes down to a common sense issue. When you get a bunch of snow and they've got to open up roads, and they've done a great job. I mean, but even the other people that are coming around, that the homeowners and stuff, maybe they're helping somebody else out. There should be some common sense used when you're moving it and where you're putting the snow. I know Curtis and I, when Curtis was running the public works, I moved a lot of snow then too, for different people. I don't charge people for moving snow. I don't make any money on it whatsoever. But the fact of the matter is Curtis come up to me and said, can you put your snow here instead of putting it over here? Because we're having a problem. Absolutely. But he couldn't have done that if he wouldn't have known who was doing it. You know, that's all I'm saying is, I know snow gets moved over onto people's property that it should not. The people that, for instance, that own the corner lots, they really catch it, you know? Well, where else are you gonna put it? When you got all that snow to deal with? I think most of that stuff is common sense issues, but I don't think it hurts to let the city know.
I mean, I can give you an exact example at the Golden House. We have our parking lot, this guy Corporation owns. And whoever moved the snow there pushed it all into the breezeway between Pursuit Church and the Golden House. And it covered up their fire doors.
Yeah.
Oh, then overdid it, so now we gotta pay him to come and dig all the fire doors. Not even our snow. Why do I gotta pay for the corporation not to pay to move that snow? When it should have never been put there in the first place.
No, and that's, the burden of all that falls on Brady and his bunch, because he's the one that's got to deal with snow being put in the wrong place or not being done exactly right, or covering a driveway that they just opened up, and then the city comes along and, you know, well, you don't have time to clean every driveway. That's common sense when you're opening roads for the main roads in town. But not everybody understands that. And I think it's just problems you got to work through every time you have snow, a lot of snow. Typical years, you don't usually have that much problem with it. This has not been a typical year.
Streets and Blakeburg will always have the problem, the one in front of that is the only front rail box. I see them. And I did it, because the rail gets shut off. snow right now, I'd say that happens. It's a good example. It's not their responsibility to deal with all that snow. You can go out there and do snow. It's 7 degrees.
I guess I just have to eat the same cost. I have to pay to have it removed out in front of my house, and then the city moves it right in front, and then I have to pay the next day or the day after. But how are you even gonna come close to policing that? All the person has to say is, no, I wasn't the one who moved the snow.
Well, that's what I say, I don't know how you police it.
It sounds just like a civil issue, like that. I don't understand why the city would get involved at all on it.
No, the
We're
only
talking
reason.
two private lots, like
No.
we're not talking taking from the city, pushing up. It's not like Brady took one of the things and pushed it into a private owner's. It's like that's private, like that's.
My only point is that at least then they know who to go and talk to and ask them not to do what they're doing, you know? Because I've seen a lot of people move snow and they'll either dump it on an abandoned lot or someone else's lot. And they shouldn't be, you know? But I think it's just, at least they would know who to talk to, because they're gonna get the complaints. That individual like me, we don't get the complaints because they don't know who it is in the machine. But Brady knows, he sees me, you know, so he watches me like a hawk, too. Okay, any other council concerns? Let's move on. Judges report, everybody get a chance to look at that?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, it's been made. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same side for opposed. And the bills.
One question on the bills. That's the subject here, it's not questioning them or their bill. Was that not repaired this past year? That didn't get done? So is that on the list, the first thing that? And I think when all that, we approved all that, or whatever the time previous was sick or not here. I think that's in the, we don't need something on this public works. We probably, anyway, but, I guess we gotta make sure that. it's on this book, so. And what I'm talking about is the frozen sewer line, I think that is-
Right. Yeah.
And the developers looking up. We're still talking. The revenue for that.
That's the one we wanted to insulate, but we weren't sure where it was at, right?
And that's was in another, a different spot. So it wasn't, it didn't even get from the grinder pump to the mat or top. So somewhere from there to the grinder pump, it's stopped. Right, yeah, I was shocked about it anyway, I think at the time.
Is anybody without service up there then, or without sewer service?
No, they all have service, but the city is paying us to accept it.
Nonstop.
Yeah, we need to go look at that, and see what the options are.
Other than that, I was thinking.
Okay. Can I get a motion to pay the bills? And a second? Okay, motion and a second's been made. All, well, Elaine, do you wanna?
Okay, so just one comment before I do roll call. So obviously you see that we have not received the bill from the attorneys yet, but you guys still want to make sure if we get that here in the next day or two, because we'll pay bills, you know, probably have them finished by Thursday, but everybody's in agreement to that?
Yep.
Okay, Lauren,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Chad.
All right.
Okay. With all in favor, motion carries. At this point, we will be moving into the executive session format, and we'll have to ask all of the guests to leave for that portion. What?
We need a motion to suspend the regular meeting and move to executive session.
Yep.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Okay, motion carries. Huh?
Yeah.
All the, yeah,
And then
okay. Okay.
yes, and then turn off the.
Okay, it says the next item on the agenda is the executive session. This item may be discussed in an executive session. The legal authority for closing this portion of the meeting is North Dakota Century Code sections 44-04-19.1 and 44-04-19.2. The topic or purpose of this executive session is for attorney consultation to discuss an adversarial administrative proceeding. Active investigatory work product, negotiating strategy, and attorney consultation. At this time, a motion would be in order to discuss the next topic in the executive session rather than in an open meeting, which we've already handled that part. The executive session will be recorded, and all members of the governing body are reminded to limit their discussions during the executive session to an announced topic. Any collective decision, collective commitment, or final action by the governing body must occur after it reconvenes in an open meeting, unless final action is specifically required by law to be taken during the executive session. The prohibition on taking final action during the executive session does not apply to providing guidance or instruction to our attorney or a negotiator. We will now ask the members of the public, we're a little beyond that, who are attending the meeting to leave the room. We anticipate adjourning the executive session and reconvening the open portion of the meeting at approximately, we'll just say 10 o'clock. After the executive session, the minutes will show that the executive session was adjourned at 10 o'clock. The public has been invited to return to the meeting, and we are now back in open session. With that said, I'll open it up to